So today we're going to find the angles A, B, C, D, and E. And we know that this is a regular pentagon. And a regular pentagon means that is a five-sided polygon where all sides have equal length and all angles have equal measures. So we know in this, since it's a regular pentagon, we know that all five of these angles are going to be equivalent. So to begin, we're going to want to find angle A and angle B. And if we find out the sum of the interior angles, so the sum of all these angles added up, we can just find one of them, since we can find the sum and then divide by 5. So we know that the sum of the interior angles of an n-gon, n just being the number of sides, is 180 n minus 2 degrees. So if we just plug in 5 there, we'll be able to find out angle A. So we'll do 180 n minus 2, and we can just say 180, 5 minus 2. This is the sum of the interior angles of an n-gon. So then that'll just be 183. That's just simplify. And then 180 times 3 is 540 degrees. Okay, so now we know that, and this is just simplifying too. So now we know that all of these angles added up is 540 degrees. So to find just angle A, we can divide by 5 since we know all 5 are equal. So we do 500, so we'll do this. So 540 degrees divided by 5 is going to be equal to A. And 540 divided by 5 is 108 degrees. And this reason is just because it's a regular pentagon. So we know A is 108 degrees. Now we have to find out B. And we know B is just going to be the same thing as A because they're all going to be equal measures. So we can say that angle A is congruent to angle B because it's a regular pentagon. And so we can just do transitive after that. So B is 108 degrees because A equals 108, A equals B, so then B equals 108. So we have this again, and we know angle B is 108. So now we have to find angle C. Well, how are we going to do this? So to do this, we will have to look at the triangles. So here we have an isosceles triangle. And we know that when we have an isosceles triangles, these angles are going to be congruent. So we know that X is going to be congruent to angle C. So let's just write out the triangle sum theorem first for angle C. So we know that 108 degrees plus X degrees plus C degrees is going to equal 180 degrees. And that's just the triangle sum theorem. Now, we can also say that X is congruent to C because of an isosceles triangle. So X is congruent to C. This is because it's an isosceles triangle. So what we can do is substitute. So we can do 108 plus C is 180. So that's just substitute. And then we can say 108 plus 2C is 180. And then we just have to do is subtract 108 from both sides. So we have 2c is equivalent to 72 degrees. And then just divide by 2. And that is 36 degrees. So we know that all of this is just simplifying. And I can just put an arrow down. We know that all that is just simplifying. So we have C is 36 degrees. So now let's find out D, and it's basically the same thing for D. So we're going to do an isosceles triangle. So we're going to do 108 plus D plus Y, because that's the other angle, is 180 degrees, which is triangle sum theorem. And then we know that D is congruent to Y because they're isosceles triangles. And then we can just substitute D plus D is 180. So just substitute. And then just simplifying 2D is 180 degrees. That's simplifying. Then subtract both sides. So 2D is 72 degrees. And then divide by 2. D is 36 degrees. So that's just simplifying throughout that. So C and D are equivalent too. We can't say they're equivalent just right off the bat, just looking at the picture, because we don't want to infer anything, but they ended up being equivalent, so that's good. So now to find E, we're going to have to do, we know that this huge angle here is going to be equal to 108 degrees because we know that all sides are equal. So we know this is congruent to this whole angle. So all we have to do is set 36 plus 36 plus E equivalent to 108 degrees, which is that Z. So we're going to do 36 plus 36 plus E is equivalent to 108 because that's what that angle is equivalent to. And this is just because, we'll just write it out, because angle C plus angle D plus angle E make up angle Z, which is 108 degrees. There's no rule for that. Just write it out so we know what it is. So we know that 36 plus 36 is just 72 plus E degrees, which is 108. And then we just need to subtract 72 from both sides. E is equivalent to 36. All right, and this is just simplifying. Make sure to write your steps all the time. Just simplifying. And now we know that E is 36. So there we go. We have A and B equivalent to 108, and then C, D, and E are equivalent to 36 degrees.